Next item is flooding. Flooding is something that we're going to be looking at on the basis of information given to us in the site card. It's really impossible for us to be there at that one point in time at that site and to determine whether or not that area is prone to flooding, unless, of course, flooding has recently occurred or is occurring at the time we're at the site. So in looking at this flooding category, we've got to go back to our manual and look at the definitions it gives us for the categories of none, rare, occasional, and frequent. None, obviously it never floods. Rare, on the average, one time or less in 20 years. Occasional, one time in 2 years. In other words, every other year. And frequent, more often than every other year. In this situation, the information given to us on the site card said that the date this site last flooded was 2/16 of 79. Well, that's been over 20 years ago. So we look at our categories here, one on the average, one time or less in 20 years. That fits into the rare category. So we should have marked rare underneath flooding, item number I on our land evaluation scorecard for this particular location. Basically, if it's ever flooded, you can't say none if that information is given to us. Okay, major factors that keep area out of Class 1 land. This is a very, very important category on your land evaluation scorecard because this will be the primary one that determines what you determine the land capability class to be in item number K on your card. Basically, what we need to do on this one is to go back up above and look at all of the categories that we've just evaluated and determine if that will keep this particular site out of Class 1 land. To help you do that, there's an explanation in your textbook of each of these, and it gives you some numbers. Now, I would not expect you to memorize these numbers or parameters for each of these factors. There's no point in doing that since that information is obtainable and easily looked up in the land evaluation manual. If we look at surface texture, item number A, it says surface soil texture is a factor in sandy and clay textures. So in other words, if we are in a loamy soil, that would not prevent this from being Class 1 land. So we should have not, in this case, we should not have checked item number 1 under our category J, surface texture, because surface texture is loamy and that does allow this to be Class 1 land. The second category is permeability. Permeability, rapid, slow, or very slow permeability are factors to keep it out of Class 1 land. Well, in this particular situation, we determined the permeability to be slow. Therefore, we should have marked item number 2, permeability, under major areas that keep it out of Class 1 land, because slow does prevent this area from being considered Class 1 land. The depth of profile. Moderately deep, shallow, or very shallow are factors. In other words, only deep soils can be considered Class 1 land. Here we evaluated this profile depth to be moderately deep, so we should have checked item number 3, depth, under factors that keep it out of Class 1 land. The slope, we look back up at our slope categories, and anything over 2% irrigated or 3% non-irrigated would keep this from being Class 1 land. Well, at this location, we have a 12% slope. So that 12% slope will keep this area from being Class 1 land. So we should have marked slope, item number 4. Item number 5, erosion. Anything under the none to slight keeps it out of Class 1 land. So more than 25% of the original surface soil is a factor, or is gone in this case. So we should have marked erosion, item number 5. That would keep it out of Class 1 land since we were at 44% of the original topsoil had been lost. Surface rock, is it stony or not? We evaluated it to be non-stony, so we should not have marked item number 6. Flooding. Under flooding, occasional and frequent are factors. Well, we're rare here, so that is not a factor, so that would not be marked in this case. Rare flooding would not prevent land from being Class 1. So we should not have checked items number 6 and 7. Then we get into a category that's called other. And it describes for us what some of those other factors are that would keep it out of Class 1 land. Generally speaking, the other factors are going to be climatic, length of the growing season, and or the amount of precipitation and rainfall are two good examples that could possibly keep this area out of Class 1 land, or items that we should at least check and see what the parameters are. That information can be found on page 20 of your land evaluation manual. Under climatic, it tells us that we need 140 days or more to be Class 1 land. In this situation, we have 120-day growing season. So we should have marked the item number 8, other, because our growing season is too short for this to be considered Class 1 land. Now, just for the purpose of this exercise, let's take a look at the other factors that could have kept it out or caused us to check item number 8 under factors keeping it out of Class 1 land.